Good evening, ladies, gentlemen, everyone else. Welcome to another program of Sports Be Life International. Today is a very, very special program because it's the end of our season, but
Yes.
there are more stuff coming into Sports Be Life. So it's not the end of our Sports Be Life. Not at all. It's just the beginning of another.
Another adventure for us.
And today I'm having here my lovely lawyer partner companion, Yasmina. How are you doing, Yasmina?
I'm pretty excited to be here because we have an amazing guest today. We have the cherry of the top to finish the program, and I think a lot of people is going to really excited with about it. So please drop all your questions. You only have one chance, guys. And how are you, Laura? I'm so excited to have you here again.
I'm very happy, but I'm a little bit sad because it's the last week of this season. Of course, there are more seasons coming and more stuff coming to Sports Be Life, but it's like, oh, no more interviews until someone time then.
Yes.
So today we are having some very special person. This is the head mobile at TSM, and he's going to bring to us some wisdom on the mobile industry and how the mobile gaming impacting the sports industry. So today we are having Jeff Chau, also known as Hugh Generis. Welcome, Jeff.
Yay.
Hey guys, welcome.
Thank you so much for being here. I would love to have like a clap sounds or something. That would be really nice when our guests arrive. That would be really nice.
So for the next season, we can have some sounds for the program and have some clap sound. But we can clap anyway. So Jeff, head mobile at TSM. I would like to ask you before we begin with the proper interview, how did you decide to venture into the sports industry?
Yeah, so I started as a pro gamer. Actually, this is like what 6 years ago. Let me just adjust my camera here. That might be a little better. There we go. Yeah, so I started about a little like 6 years ago, back in 2016. I was actually working at Apple at the time. And then a game called Vainglory came out. And then I played it, and I was top 10 in the world. And
Wow.
from there, I started a clan. And then once I started a clan, we started our own esports organization. And then I competed professionally for Hammers Esports at the time. So I was a co-founder for Hammers Esports. And then one thing led to another. And then from there, I joined Immortals and then Team Liquid, and then eventually came to TSM.
You have an amazing career there. I think.
Yeah, and then during that time, I was a pro player. I was an esports commentator. So I did the Asia Games in 2018. So I hosted the Asia Games when mobile esports was a demonstration medal event in Jakarta, Palembang. So that was a highlight of my career, I would say. I also worked with Tencent and Honor of Kings. I was a caster for the World Cyber Games in Xi'an, China in 2019. And I also worked at a GM at Immortals. You know, I kind of did everything. The coach, the manager, the GM, worked with Team Liquid as well. And then now here at TSM. And then before that, I actually grew up in South Korea. So this is back in, I'm dating myself, but back in like early 2000, where StarCraft was a big esport back then, right? So I actually grew up and went to school in South Korea. So that's where my gaming kind of started. And esports started a lot later. so yeah, so that's my story.
No, but it's amazing because we're actually going to ask you step by step all your career path because it's huge and you have been part of the mobile esport a lot and somehow you see how it evolved. But first of all, I would like to know why you focus on mobile esport. There is any reason? Is because you were telling about the game that you decided to focus on that, or how it happened? Why choose it?
Yeah, it's because honestly, the games got a lot better. I was always a big mobile gamer. And then I saw like how you can have multiplayer experiences on mobile. So honestly, I was actually really busy at work, right? I didn't have time to play on PC as much. And then Vainglory came out, and I was able to, enjoy time in the break room with like fellow friends and employees or at
Oh,
home.
that's so nice.
Oh.
Playing on the couch, and then I got really good at the game, and the game had an esports scene, right? So I think that's what got me really interested in mobile is because it was so easy. Because I remember a lot of memories playing with my brothers, in the same room. It kind of recreated the LAN experience. Back in Korea, we had a lot of PC cafes, so I would
Oh my God,
be
it's true. The PC cafe. It's true.
yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was like the social experience, right? It was like after school you go play at PC
It's true.
cafes. And I miss that a lot. So I feel like mobile brought that back a little bit because it was so and then you know you it was so easy to like just jump into a game when you're eating lunch in the break room with like your work colleagues, or you're at home with your family and friends and you want to play and while sitting on the couch. So I think that's what got me interested in mobile a lot, and it turned out it was really fun. It was an online multiplayer experience on a smartphone, which is
Hmm.
really cool. And then one thing led to another, and then the esports scene started to thrive. And then I got into mobile, and I actually enjoy mobile better. Like I used to play like League and Warcraft 3. Dota back in Warcraft 3 was the original Dota and
Okay.
Warcraft 3. So now when I play MOBA, it's actually doesn't feel as intuitive on a mouse. It feels like more work on the mouse. I feel like on the
Oh,
phone it's
really?
much simpler. It's much easier to enjoy. Especially as you get older, right? You're not as you're talented or skilled. So I feel like mobile fills and introduces gaming to a lot of people who did not play on PC or console. So I feel like mobile gaming has just increased the number of gamers that can enjoy more hardcore games. So that's why I think I love mobile, because it's bringing more. It's not just Candy Crush, right? It's like
Yeah.
these hardcore games that are esports, games as well, and introducing it to a bigger and wider audience base, especially females, right? A lot more
It's
females
true.
play on mobile than
Hmm.
than say PC and so on.
We
That's
have
true.
discussed previously the advantages of mobile gaming. You can play from anywhere. You can play from in your bedroom. You can play on public transport, and you can
In the
play while
bathroom.
laying on the couch, which is quite an advantage actually.
Very comfortable.
Very comfortable. And also, mobile gaming has broadened up to a wider audience and has connected with many new gamers. You said before that more women are jumping into the gaming industry thanks to mobile gaming. Also, you have known the industry from the inside. You were a professional player, but you were also a commentator and analyst for Tencent Games. How was your experience in this area? And what have you learned from your experience as a commentator and analyst?
Yeah, I think I think as an analyst, I got to respect their role more because they do a lot of work. They have to do a lot of narration, and they have to create storylines. So you have to, and as a commentator, I was the analyst commentator, so I needed to watch every game, right? Because as a player, you're training 10 hours, 12 hours a day, but as an analyst commentator, you need to watch every game. You need to stay close to the scene. You need to follow people on Twitter. You need to follow them and watch their streams and get as much information as possible about the teams. And as an analyst, you really have to work on your public speaking skills. When I first started, I spoke too fast.
Hmm.
Like right now, I'm speaking slower than I normally would.
I
So you have to
appreciate
speak
it.
slower. You have to yeah, so you have to learn how to do public speaking, right? It's not an easy skill to have. So I have a lot of respect for commentators and the amount of work that they put in, because I literally had Google Docs and pages of analysis. You have to
Wow.
work with the production crew. You have to work with your co-caster. You have to work with your host, because there's a host. There's a
Hmm.
color commentator. The color is me, the analyst. The color adds more like an analytical kind of perspective to it. That's why they're called the color. And then the play-by-play is the person that speaks really fast. Like, he makes a move, he does ultimate, he does, that's the play-by-play. And then the color commentator comes in. So it's a natural flow. And then the host is the one that initiates the question. So it's a really cool dynamic And it got me to really understand the esports industry more, especially the entertainment side of it, because that's what we're doing is we're helping viewers enjoy the game more. And my goal every game was to be very entertaining is number one, and number two is informative and educational, right? I would always share something insightful because I was a pro player. So I would share something that would help the viewer understand what was happening and also learn how to get better at the game. Because in the end, that's what everyone wants to do. They want to enjoy their game more and they want to get better and beat the competition. So that was my goal as an analyst, and I actually miss it. I probably my favorite job of all time, honestly.
Really, I always admire the people who are analyst commentator because you have to have so much information and to
Yeah.
interpret that information. I always admire it. It's like you have all the data. You're like almost robot that you analyze it. I admire you. Even as a lawyer, I have to have a lot of information in my brain. And it actually struggles them from time to time. But actually, I would like to also ask you your path in Team Liquid. How was the experience? Can you share a little bit about it?
Yeah, so Team Liquid, I worked with them because Tencent had a marketing program, and it was
Okay.
a invitational. That was when Arena of Valor was launching. And then they basically invited Team Liquid and SK Gaming to compete at the international competition in South Korea. So I actually went back to South Korea. And so that was really fun. So they had like a huge event there, and they had like teams from Taiwan to Korea to Thailand to Vietnam. They all came and competed, and I got to see like how big mobile esports was in Southeast Asia, especially Taiwan and Thailand and Vietnam and Indonesia and so on. It's massive there. And when I was at Team Liquid, I basically put together a team. I worked with NY Jackie, which was a League of Legends pro that was playing the game as well, and it got to put together a team to then compete against SK Gaming in the exhibition match. So I basically helped field the squad. I was like kind of the coach and the general manager, and we boot camped for a good like almost 6 months at the Team Liquid facility in Sawtelle, Los Angeles. So that was really fun as well. There was monsters everywhere. I mean, monsters are sponsors, so they had pallets of Monster
Oh
in the
no.
apartment, and then you open the fridge and it's all Monster cans. And I end up drinking 3 full cans, and I'll never do that again. And then your body gets really jittery. Yeah, it was
I
really
was
funny. I
going
had
to
to tell
ask you
my
if you
players,
Children don't
drank.
do that at home.
yeah, I had to
Please
tell
don't
my
do
players
that.
like, hey, don't drink too many. Just one a day is enough. Because you drink too many, it starts affecting your like your motor skills. Like your hand-eye coordinate. It's really funny. But anyways, that was a really fun project, honestly. That's when I got into Arena of Valor, and then from there, I actually then joined Immortals when they launched the esports in North America, South America, and so on in Europe. And then I was a GM for Immortals, and I helped put together their Arena of Valor and Clash Royale teams. And then I became a color commentator from there for Arena of Valor as well. So I did Clash Royale, Vainglory, Arena of Valor, and Honor of Kings. I was the color or analyst commentator for.
Oh my god, you didn't stop. You have a lot of knowledge there.
And also, you were the co-founder of Game Gatherer. What this project? Why this project was born, and what services did you offer as
At
in
that
Game
time.
Gatherer?
Yeah, so I saw something when I was in China because I was at the World Cyber Games in Xi'an, China. So I saw this really cool business where they had it was much more social in China, and it was a marketplace where you could log into an app and you could hire a coach, you could hire someone to play games with you and then learn like English, right? For
Okay.
example, you just talk and so on, and then you can also just hire someone to play video games with. It was a lot of like guys playing with girls. That was kind of the attraction.
Oh.
But it was a full marketplace. So there's a lot of esports teams on there as well. There was pro players, like different tiers. It was not just for pro, because if you look at a lot of the coaching services in North America and stuff in Europe, it's mostly focused on the hardcore like pro level, right? Like the highest level. And this application in China was more social. So it focused on like kind of all of the skill tiers. It also focused on people like trying to learn different language. So they play with someone and learn, you know, Chinese, English or whatever. And then there was like a kind of like a dating kind of interesting aspect to it as well. But it helped a lot of streamers kind of make money on the side. So because I was a Twitch streamer and it was really hard when you start out as a streamer because you're really good at the game, but you don't have an audience yet. So you could make money like teaching people how to play the game or help them win games and so on. So there was like it was like a big marketplace, like millions of people on it. I was like, oh, this is like so cool. It's like a little social network basically for gamers, and a marketplace, two-sided marketplace. And then I launched it in North America. You know, we tried like mobile games and it didn't work that well because mobile was not as big as it is in Asia. So the market was not big enough and then I had to shut it down. But it was really fun 2 years kind of working on building up your startup, trying to create a business. We had paying users, we had like hundreds of people paying to use a platform. They were playing League and all these different games and stuff like that. But the marketplace was just not big enough. I think right now the most successful company doing this is called ePal. I believe it's called ePal. If you guys don't recall what it is, but it's basically like a marketplace to help people sell their gaming skills and services. So which is really cool. And China is a big business, but I think China's gaming market is much bigger than let's say Europe or North America. And then the one thing about that, what I learned later about the Chinese business was over 50% of the business was mobile. So mobile gaming and all that. And in the US, mobile gaming is not as popular, right? It's not as big as like in Southeast Asia or China. So that was a really fun experience, honestly, running a startup, you know, raising funding and all that stuff and trying to succeed. But, you know, you learn from every failure.
That's true. You learn, and actually, I think it's quite brave to launch. And we always support all the people who try to follow that kind of business because they always growth is somehow the industry. But you were saying things that I found quite interesting because you know, in the roundtable discussion that we have regarding the mobile gaming, we are talking about also how, for example, MOBA it's quite, for example, huge in comparison with the Asia countries, in comparison with Europe or North America. So I would like to ask you because you have the opportunity to see both sides, well, a lot of sides in somehow. Why you think it's more competent and it's more huge in this kind of countries than in comparison, for example, with Europe or North America, from your perspective?
Yeah, I think because I think in the other countries it's the population density. It has a lot to do with it in terms of like how many people live in large cities. So, and then number two is a lot of them like China, for example, right? A lot of Asian countries, they don't have like a lot of football fields or basketball courts, right? It's more dense, more urban environment, and a lot of people they can't afford a console. A console is really expensive in those countries, so they don't grow up playing consoles. They grow up playing mobile, right? In America, a lot of kids grow up playing on PlayStation and Nintendo and all that stuff. In China, all these other countries, they have a mobile device and then they play on mobile. So that's why I think mobile took off because it's different infrastructure, you know, different density, and it's also a social experience where everyone would, you know, play mobile games together. In America, it would mostly be console or PC. You know, they go over and play Mario Kart on their console or PlayStation kind of thing. But now I think it's starting to shift a little bit where a lot of people are playing more on mobile games in the US. But I think in Asia, it has to do with like the accessibility, of course, right? The cost, right? And then the population, right? There's a much younger and larger population base in India, China, Thailand, you know, Vietnam and stuff like that. And also, if you look at like a lot of these countries, they're not as developed as the West. So they actually skipped and went straight to like 4G. So they're like China's 4G infrastructure is very good. Like you go to all these countries, like their internet and cellular system is really good. While if you look at like fiber optic or LAN internet, it's expensive, and it's not as accessible as like Europe or North America. Like the land, like in China, I remember I would have to use my hotspot on 4G, 5G, because
Mm.
it was better than like using the Wi-Fi network. It was crazy. It was
Okay.
like mind
Yeah.
blowing to me. Yeah,
Yes.
because
Yeah.
it was not the same infrastructure, but China invested heavily into their cellular network, right? Because they have such a huge population. They invested a lot in their 4G capabilities, and that's why 4G and mobile is really accessible and not that expensive in China. So the cost they pay per data is a lot less than say US. The data, and US also unlimited in US started a little later. It was not a thing. You had to pay for data. You only had like 5 GB a month or 10. It was actually really expensive to get unlimited data in the United States, and
Mm.
not many kids, like parents would not pay their kids to have unlimited data. But in these other countries, unlimited data was given. It was data cost was not an issue. So there's a lot of little interesting factors that I talked about a lot of my conferences to help people understand, like, why has mobile esports become so popular in these countries, but has not been as popular in like the Western countries. And there's a lot of different factors. It's not just about the
Mm.
cost. It's not just about like, the poor countries can't afford PC or console. It's because China is like the biggest PC market in the world, right? They have a lot of PC cafes. They have access to PCs, right? Brazil had access to PCs with CS:GO. That's why CS:GO is so popular in Brazil, because the
Yeah.
That's
Brazil
true.
government the Brazil government invested into infrastructure to build out internet cafes to give the population access to internet, because they couldn't afford PCs at home. So Brazil was a big PC market as well. So all the mobile first markets are actually big PC markets. If you look at how they started, China, Brazil, and then mobile came after. If you guys notice, right? Mobile came later. So it's not just a factor of accessibility as well. There's a lot of different, you know, like unique population,
Hmm.
dynamics with
Mm.
Brazil, China versus United States, and so on. Yeah, it's a little more complicated and nuanced, but that's basically the general gist of why mobile esports is more popular in these other countries is the population density, and so on.
We have to bring you back to a roundtable discussion because it's going to be
Yeah.
really fascinating to hear about all this topic.
Yeah. You made quite an interesting point and made quite a good analysis on the sports industry, mobile sports industry, and the difference between each country. And I would like to ask you what needs no, sorry, how the mobile sports industry can continue growing in territories like the US or Europe, given the differences you made.
Yeah, I think that we just need to learn from China and how
Hmm.
China and other countries. I think India is following good. That's why we're invested in India. We're staying committed to India because we believe India is the next China. You look at
Mm,
India's,
okay.
like, India will have a larger population than China. They have a younger population than China,
Hmm.
and their smartphone penetration rate is very low, right? So they're just the government has just officially recognized esports as a multi-sport discipline in India, and that's similar to
Hmm.
what China did 10 years ago, right? So I think what the West can learn is they need to embrace it, and we need just one game to take off. To be honest with you, the fundamental thing is, like, we never had one mobile game went viral. I think the most successful one is probably like Brawl Stars or Clash Royale so far. Brawl Stars still has an esports scene, for example, but it's not quite big enough yet where it would make economic sense. So in China, for example, Honor of Kings, which is like League on mobile basically, has about 100 million. It peaks about 100 million daily active users, right? Like 100 million people playing it every day. That's more than the country of Germany, right? Every day playing
Wow.
the game. And League has 100 million active players. I mean, Honor of Kings has more players in China than League has in the world, right?
Hmm.
And if you look at like Honor of Kings and like the success of like their content, they've been running esports for about 5 years now. They have franchise leagues. The average team is worth about $50 million, just the Honor of Kings spot, right? Like if you want to buy a team in Honor of Kings, their valuation is worth about 50 million. and they're the top teams is called rank S and rank A teams. They bring anywhere from 3 to 7 million, $8 million a year in revenue, like US dollars, like just that game in Honor of Kings, right? Because they sell skins, they have they sell a lot of ticket revenue. They have a lot of media deals, right? They have a lot of big sponsors, all the big, smartphone sponsors and stuff. So the game is very, because the viewer base is there, right? 54% of the viewers are female. Like 54% of the gamer base is female, right? And if you go to, when I went to, I wish I could show the picture, but when I was there in 2017, 18, and so on, and I look around the stadium, right? The whole stadium's sold out. It's like 40,000 people in a stadium. It's completely sold out watching a mobile game, which is crazy. And I counted, I basically did like a count, and 6 to 7 out of the 10 people were females in the audience. It's insane. It's wild. So that's the power of mobile, and young people love live entertainment experiences, right? They love to go to concerts and stuff. And this was just like a concert, but you're watching a competition. So I think that when the game does take off in the West or America, then I think it can happen. But right now it's been difficult, to be honest with you, with everyone, right? Mobile gaming is large, but the hardcore mobile gaming is not quite there yet for the West compared to China and other countries. So we'll see if it happens, right? The thing that I say, it just takes one game. No one believed that PC esports would take off until StarCraft came out, right? We had Quake going on, right? Quake was like the original esports, but then it never got big enough. And then StarCraft took the world by storm, and then everyone's like, wow, esports is a thing. PC, right? And then console, right? You had console, Call of Duty, all that. Like all these things, like it just takes one successful game to take off in the United States or in Europe, and then mobile esports can become sustainable and successful once the viewership and the player base is there.
That's interesting because actually in the roundtable discussion we were saying like we need a point of break, and then maybe we will increase. And what you say about the game, that would be really important at the end. Maybe that would be the key point there. And I didn't know about India. I didn't know, so it was really fascinating to hear. And I'm so proud that so many women are taking place in this. I'm really happy to hear it. It was like, hey, yeah, go girl, go ahead.
Yeah, and PC is about, if you look at MOBAs like Dota 2 League, it's about 5 to 10% female players in the player base, and MOBA is about 30 to 40% female. It's big difference because it's easier to get into. It's like it's more social, it's easier to get into, and it's not as intimidating. To like pick up your phone and just start playing. For PC, you need to like get all the equipment. You need to have the right PC. League runs in any PC. Honestly, it's very optimized, but it's much more complicated. It's more friction to like get into a PC game than to get into a mobile multiplayer game. So hopefully we'll see. Hopefully it'll take off in the West. We'll see. It'll take time though.
Maybe I will be in the future someone of the competition. We don't know. We don't know.
maybe Yasmina and I are taking
in the future.
I think mobile competition, maybe.
And actually, I would like to now focus a little bit about your work at TSM. Sorry about my Spanish there. So how do you start there? How this happened? The beginning, the origin, the legend, the lore.
Yeah, so I because I worked with the other esports, and I built a reputation in esports. And I think for people looking for a career in esports, I think it's very important that you try to be the best at what you do, and you try to be very open. So I wrote on Twitter a lot, on Medium. I spoke at a lot of conferences about mobile gaming, mobile esports. And then TSM hired me as an advisor, actually, initially, because they didn't know mobile. They have no idea. Because if you think about mobile, like if you're a PC gamer and you're looking at mobile, you'll be like, what's going on? I have no idea what's happening here. Like it's a totally different community, totally different kind of market. Like you need someone that understands the space. So they came to me because they knew that, mobile was something that had a lot of potential. And that's where they hired me as an advisor, and I helped them enter India, actually. So I helped them, pick up one of the best teams in India, and it was like one of the best. It was one of the best PUBG mobile teams in India that won, the championship and so on, right? And then from there, as I worked with TSM, they knew that mobile needed more attention, and then they brought me on full time to then enter Brazil Free Fire, and to basically help develop a mobile gaming and esports strategy, because there's a lot of sponsors in mobile as well, like seller sponsors, phone sponsors, and so on. And in India was like a big market that had so much viewers for PUBG Mobile, Free Fire, and all that stuff. And then fast forward to now, India actually banned PUBG Mobile. They banned Free Fire, and they banned BGMI. So there's like a lot of uncertainty with the country. However, we're still staying committed because we believe in long term, and how the government is like now turning the corner and opening up more to esports there. Brazil Free Fire, we came late. So we actually exited Brazil Free Fire because the game is not profitable. TSM, we're big on making sure that we stay in games that are profitable for the organization. And Free Fire didn't make sense given the amount of money that we were spending. And given the market conditions, as you guys know, esports is kind of on like a little recession kind of period right now. Yes. So we wanna kind of hold back and wait for maybe Valorant Mobile or the next titles to come out. But we know that we need to be early, right? So that's why they kind of brought me on is like, look at Loud, right? Loud was born from Free Fire, right? And Loud is one of the most successful esports organizations, and it came from mobile. So TSM realizes that like we need to take it seriously, right? Like we can't be underestimating the potential of mobile, because organizations like Loud can come out of nowhere and become very competitive against traditional esports organizations, coming from such a strong foundation that Free Fire has provided for them, right? So that's kind of like how I kind of ended up at TSM. And so I helped manage the total P&L for India, for Brazil, for mobile, and I also manage their Dota 2 team as well, right? So, and some other creators like TFT and stuff like that. So I kind of do a lot of things at TSM.
That's
for
amazing.
for I see the TSM is covering the need of the mobile industry and how it can have their own place on the sports industry in general. But for the audience who doesn't know, for the audience who don't know what TSM is about, what can you tell us about TSM in general? How would you describe it?
Yeah, I would say that TSM strives to be the most entertaining and competitively successful organization in the world. Like we're a global brand. We start off as a North America brand in League of Legends with Andy, right? The CEO of TSM, and now we're looking to grow our brand across games and across regions and countries, right? If you look at Apex Legends, right, we're the most well-known organization in Apex. Imperial Hal, we're the CEO of Apex, plays for TSM. We have a huge fan base in Japan as well because of Apex Legends and so on. So I would say, we also have Blitz, right? I don't know if everyone knows what Blitz is, but it's a coaching app. It basically, you can, when you play Valorant or Fortnite or League, it's an app that you install that helps you get better at the game, right? Which is really cool. It's like the tech side of the business. So not a lot of people understand about TSM is we have an esports team, which is like the marketing competitive side of the business. Then we have the Blitz, which is the tech stack, the tech vertical of the business. And then we also have Icon, which is a talent agency. We also serve agency things within the company. So there's like 3 businesses under TSM. Which is really cool. We're also doing something else that I can't talk about that's more stealth.
Shit.
But so TSM is like, we're ahead. I would say, compared to other orgs, we're sustainable, we're profitable, right? A lot of other orgs are not sustainable. They haven't figured out their business economics, their unit economics. They haven't figured out, their cost to profit ratio, right? And they're kind of spending a lot of investors' money without no clear business model that they're working on to make it more sustainable. So I think that's what separates TSM from all the other orgs, and why TSM is the most valuable esports org in the world is because we we're the most profitable, right? We actually have a business, and we're smart. We exit games very quickly, right? We enter games very quickly, and we exit games that are not profitable for us. And we also make the right decision. We didn't enter Overwatch League, and we didn't enter like Call of Duty League, right? Because the franchise, even though those are great games, I love Overwatch. I played it. I love Call of Duty. I play it too, but the costs were too high, right? We didn't see the return on investment. So I think that's what makes TSM really special, is because we're very business savvy when it comes to revenue and return on investment and so on.
So actually, you tell us a lot of information about TSM and all the things you do, and you tell us a little bit about your role, what you play, what projects actually TSM does. But if you can tell me in one sentence, for example, what TSM bring value to the industry, what would we say? How they bring value to the ecosystem? If you can just to sell the project here.
Well, one sentence, how we bring value. I think it's really
I allow you more than two sentences.
I think it's building a great esports brand, right? A great esports company and brand that will attract not only investors but build a long-lasting fan base that's sustainable. I think that's really the goal and the purpose, I feel, for TSM. And this is my opinion, of course. This is not TSM's opinion, but I think because I worked for a lot of different organizations and companies, and being sustainable and building a great business is not easy, right? I mean, I failed. I tried to do Game Together and it failed. so I think TSM has built a successful business. I think it's very different, right? Esports is not just like a hobby project where you have rich family offices or millionaires and billionaires just giving you money to run an esports team. It's a real business, right? There's talent behind it and stuff like that. So I think that's what TSM brings value to the entire esports ecosystem, is that we are building a real brand, a real business that will stay here for the long term, where we're not going to shut down like eUnited or like other organizations that have been great organizations, but if you don't focus on the business, then you're not going to be able to play the long game, right? And I think that's really important to succeed in this industry and in any business, honestly, is you have to survive long term. So
you said it perfectly here.
Yeah.
You can be also the salesman.
Now we know about TSM, but you, as a head of TSM, which is your role exactly?
Yeah, so I'm basically one of the GMs. Have you guys heard the news? But our VP of Esports left TSM recently, a few days ago, last week. So now the GMs, like I'm one of the GMs along with two other GMs within TSM that run esports. So now we don't have like a head of esports, like a VP of esports, right? So now my role has increased, right? I've taken on the Dota 2 team, the team fight tactics. I'm just not only focused on mobile, right? I'm working a lot more within the other divisions within TSM to kind of fill in the gap from not having a VP of esports. But my role is really the general manager, right? I basically head a significant part of TSM's business across mobile and other games, and work with the sales and partnerships team and so on. So there's a lot of different factors within the role, but that's what a GM does, right? And I also make sure our teams are competitive and they're winning. I'm building the content business within India. We like our Instagram and YouTube. There, you have to work on the content side of the business too, because if content's not successful, then you don't have inventory to sell to sponsors, right? You have to build inventory, and inventory is like the assets that you sell to get a sponsor to sponsor you, right? So like we have a betting sponsor in India, and these are things that the GM works on, right? They look at the business and how do they make the business profitable? How do they make the business successful? And I feel like that's also a little different because I didn't have this much of responsibility at the other esports orgs. Like I'm a true GM, right? Like I'm truly general managing the business and looking at the profitability, breaking down the costs. We break down like how much a team costs 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. and we look at the ROI over 3 years. If the ROI does not look good, we don't continue, right? That's different. I didn't do that the other orgs. At TSM, we look at that, right? We look at the cost analysis, we look at the profit analysis. Like there's a lot of things that it's like a real business, right? It's like this is a business we're trying to build. And we look at how do we grow the business? How do we grow more fans? How much merch can we sell if we enter this game or we stay in this game, right? We look at the apparel sales as well. And apparel is doing really well. I don't know if you guys checked out the TSM apparel, but we hired the former head of merch from FaZe Clan actually. And Eric's been doing an amazing job with TSM apparel, and the stuff is really good. It's really high quality. So our apparel has also done very well and done better than ever. So we're doing really well on a lot of different fronts here. And as GM, I'm here to help with all those parts of the business, right? Because in the end, we're building a brand, right? And esports is a part of marketing that brand, right? So having success and winning is really important. Looking at the business and looking at what sponsors are interested in what categories, like mobile sponsors are very different than PC sponsors and so on, and et cetera, right? There's a lot of different things. So to not kind of get into too much detail, that's kind of like in general what I do. It's kind of your hands are in everything, honestly, in a lot of different areas, and it's a lot of fun. Every day is a different day.
No, you're learning a lot constantly, as I can notice, because you have so much information that it's like, oh my god, it's touching everything. And actually, now you were telling us about a success story that you have that is actually with India. Can you tell us a bit about it, or another that you want to share with us? That's the time that you spend in TCM. Cases that you would like to share with us.
I think in esports, you have to be a great leader and a great coach. I think people underestimate that, and I think esports in general, they give a lot of lip service to coaching, and they don't really have a coaching process. They talk about a lot of teams talk about culture, but I don't think they have one. They just spend money and try to hire the best coach and best manager, and then they kind of do their own thing. But there's no true process or system. Because at every org I've been at, I build championship teams. Right, Immortals was their first North America championship with Clash Royale, and I built a team with less budget than the other teams with a team of rookies. India is the same story. Free Fire is the same story. Right, it was a team of all rookies. We qualified for the Tier 1 league, and then we ended up first seed, right, and then third in the grand finals, and that's never been done in the game, because a team that's newly promoted will never place first seed. That's never been done in Free Fire esports history, and we did that. So and you look at India too. We actually, when I was an advisor, we actually acquired the best team in PUBG Mobile, and we lost that team, and then I had to find a brand new team, and that's really like really hard, right? So and it was all rookies, and then this brand new team ended up being the best team in India, right? From January to June, we were the winningest team, and then we were champions of the first major LAN event for BGMI, which is like the new PUBG Mobile, right? Or Battlegrounds Mobile India. And that team won the first championship, the first major LAN championship event that was aired on national TV, actually, which is really cool. I think that if you're really good at coaching, you're really good at building teams, then you do very well in esports, because it's based on talent and like a lot of talent personalities, helping teams work together, and helping them win. And it's very competitive because they're going to be only one first place, right? So it's very, very hard. And I think that, if you're really good at coaching, you're a really solid leader, and you know how to lead and coach teams, then you will do very, very well in esports across any country, any game. A lot of the same team building dynamics that you learn working at companies, because I used to work at Apple, right? I used to run like a $60 million business and manage 200 people at Apple. So I took a lot of those learnings as a leader and a coach, and have succeeded applying it to esports. So I would add, like, coaching is underestimated, but once you have the right process in place and you have the right talent and a really good coach to implement that and build the right team culture, then you can beat anyone that outspends you. And every team that I've led, I've underspent the competition. Like, I spend less and I perform way better. So that's part of being a successful GM too, because too many teams spend so much money on talent and they don't it doesn't really get them the result. They'll spend way more than the competition and they end up not winning, and then you don't get the sponsorship, right? So esports is performance marketing. Like you have to do well to get the marketing, right? To get the marketing done. It's like really performance marketing, and it's really hard because only one person can win. Only a few people can be top of their game, and there's going to be
That's true.
losers. So that's why esports is a tough business. Because you can be spending. Imagine you spent like $1 million on your roster in league or more, right? And then you don't win. Like, that money is gone, right? So
Yes.
you have to think about like how tough the business can be. So that's why being a GM is not easy, because it all falls on you. You're the GM. You made the decision to hire the coach. You made the decision on the team manager. You're the one that are making decisions to hire and fire somebody. And that's the most important job as a GM, and because I have GMs in Brazil and India too, that I coach and teach my GMs. Is that's the most important decision you make, is who is on your team. So I have a reputation of, like, whenever I take over a new business or a new team, that I normally the turnover is about 50%. Like half the team will be gone, because it's you have to find the right team that understands the type of culture that you want to build, who's coachable, who's not coachable. You want people who are coachable, because if they're coachable, they'll beat the GOATs. Like, it doesn't matter if you have the GOAT. If you have a better captain and a more coachable team, you can beat a team that has like the best player in the game, right? Because again, it's a team game, not a GOAT, right? They can have LeBron James, but it doesn't matter, right? Like they'll still lose, because it's a team game. So yeah, so that's kind of, I can share like more into detail, like the importance of a great GM. So that's when you see a good GM join any esports org, that their team will start winning. Like, you just wait like 6 months. You wait about 6 months, because it takes about 6 months to build the right team and the right leadership team and everything.
Yeah.
And then you'll see that team just start winning in whatever game that is, right? So having a really strong GM is critical to the success of any esports org.
I hope a lot of people is hearing that and write it down.
And I see TSM gives lots of importance, not only to the players, to the talent, but also to the coaching. And as you said, it's teamwork, and every piece in the team is very important, and that's what makes TSM different to other enterprises on the sports industry. And I guess that the companies that contact TSM are looking for this difference that you make from in the industry. And can you tell us about which values and what stuff the companies that contact you look for in TSM? And if you can you tell us about success stories on TSM?
Yeah, so in terms of the companies that contact us, I've worked with like betting companies and stuff. I haven't really worked with the other bigger sponsors at TSM, because I was involved with the India sponsorship with like 1xBet. But with the other companies and sponsors, I can't really comment on. But I do know that what they look for is they look for really a relationship. I think people, when you look at sponsors and stuff, you're building a relationship that has to be mutually beneficial, right? People think about like the money or the numbers, but you can't even start with the numbers, right? The numbers come much later, and they're not important in the grand scheme of things, because when it comes to partnerships, because I used to run my own esports org, and I had sponsors that were for a few months or like a year, and then we would lose them, right? And that to me it's not good, right? You want to sponsor like Team Liquid and Alienware. They've been a partner together for over 6-7 years now, right? So you want to build a partnership that's mutually beneficial to both organizations, because if you're not providing value to your sponsor, they're going to drop you. They're not going to continue to sponsor you, right? And I've been in that position many times before. And you have to think about the relationship and what that looks like. And I think the main thing I can say here is, if the sponsor's telling you what to do, then you failed, right? Like they hired you, they're paying money, they're giving money to you to help them market and be more successful in esports or gaming, and to bring their brand to a wider audience, to give them more exposure, right? Or maybe your teams are winning, and they can leverage like the talent on your team and the winning successes to then market their products, whatever, if it's computer or whatever it is, right? So So you have to provide value by being proactive with your relationship with your sponsor. So it's really a relationship where you're adding value to a relationship, they're adding value to you, and it's a happy relationship where people align on what the story looks like. They really care about narratives and stories because that's what drives, you know, if you think about what like as a commentator, narratives are very important. Like humans learn through stories, right? And a
That's
great story goes viral. A great story builds a great brand. A great story helps esports be more attractive to audiences and stuff. So that's why you have to like focus on building great stories, and you can't do that if you don't have a great relationship. So I would say from a partnership standpoint, it's about understanding what that relationship looks like. What does it mean to you and the sponsor, and making that a very productive relationship where you're proactive, you're adding value to them, and they're not the ones, you know, coming to you asking you to post this on Twitter or do this activation. Once it gets transactional, it's a failure. If it's transformational, it's going to be much more successful, right? You want to transform the way that you do marketing or branding. You know, you want to transform. You don't want to be transactional where you're just checking off the list in the agreement that you're going to deliver these social posts, you're going to do these activations, and you check it off a list, right? That's transactional, and that's why most sponsors don't stay with a lot of orgs. If you look at it, a lot of like TSM has been with our sponsors for a long time, like Logitech and so on. We've been with them for years, right? And you look at other orgs, you don't see the same thing. So that's why you have to really think about, you know, the relationship with your sponsor and how are you providing real value to them where you're helping their business be successful as well.
That's really nice. You succeed all the questions, and now we are almost close to the end. But I have to ask you about the future. So,
Yeah.
can you share any exclusive about any projects that you're thinking about this year? Anything that you can share with us? Yeah, come on. You have
Fresh
a smile
news
there. You
here.
have a smile there.
Any projects? Not. I mean, I think that the main thing is esports is consolidating right now. You look at the macro environment, you know, interest rate. I think the main thing that I can share with everyone here is look at the big picture, right? Interest rates have gone up across the world because when inflation goes up, the interest rates have to go up as well. And when interest rates go up, the cost of capital is more expensive, right? The cost of capital means it's more expensive to borrow money, right? Or to raise money from venture capitalists and investors, right? Because if the interest rates are like say 7%, I can get a 7% return on my millions of dollars. So if I'm going to give money to you, TSM, or to any other esports org, you need to give me more than 7% return. You need to give me like 20% return, 50% return, right? Because I'm taking a lot of risks to give you money, right? Because interest rates are higher. So it's created this environment where you're going to see a lot of organizations shut down, to be honest with you, right? You're going to see esports kind of consolidate. It's called consolidation. And then once this whole period is over, you're going to see esports kind of jump up and go back on a huge wave again. Because gaming is not going away, guys. We're going to get more gamers, more digital, right? Gaming is not going anywhere. So I would say like I can't really share like what projects I'm working on or whatever. I know that blockchain is a big thing that we look at, right? I've helped TSM within the company understand what blockchain is and how it's an innovation that can help really change how we consume and own digital items and products, right? Right now, the way that Web3 and blockchain is being done, honestly, it's pump and dumps, right? It's not 99% of the projects. 99% of the projects are not providing any value. Again, it's about value. Like the relationship doesn't exist. There's no value. There's no productive use cases. It's just a lot of pump and dump. But I think that once we get through this winter, right? I call it a winter. Like esports has a winter. Blockchain has a winter. Once we get through this winter, the summer is going to be great, right? The summer is going to be beautiful and sunny, and we're going to see a lot of awesome cases that will be used and that will help make esports and gaming even more sustainable. Because right now the developers, even they're great, I love them, they're building all the games and making all the games. It's not easy to make these great games, but the developers are the ones you know, basically absorbing a lot of the benefits. A lot of the revenue is going straight to developer. They have so much power and they're the ones truly making most of the money, right? And esports organizations are struggling because we can't just rely on sponsorships, right? We have to look and evolve different business verticals, right? Because sponsorship is not is it's you can have a great year in sponsorships, and in the next year or the next 2 years, what if you suck and you don't do well and you don't get the sponsors again? And then what, you have to shut down your business? That's not sustainable, right? So that's why apparel branding is important. 100 Thieves is doing that. They're trying to build a brand versus just trying to be an esports company, right? It's about media and entertainment. It's not just about competitive. I think that competitive is one pillar. You also have to look at media, right? And entertainment as another pillar. And then you have to look at how the brand fits, over those two areas, right? How they kind of coexist together. So I can't really share a specific project or anything like that because TSM is very secretive, right? We just don't talk that much to the media. We're just not we're not front facing like that. We like to keep our heads low and just work on our business and be quiet. And then surprises. I would say that for me, India is a very big. I believe in the future of India. I think the community there is amazing. We've been working there for 3 years. I have a lot of hope for the community, the gaming community there. I think that it's the next big market for esports, and I think that it will help actually pull the entire esports industry globally in a right direction, because you look at a lot of the biggest esports events, India contributed, like Free Fire, for example, they peaked at 5.5 million peak viewers for Free Fire, and India was 2 million of those viewers. India was almost half, right? So imagine what impact that's going to make on the esports business and the esports landscape when they see an even larger community of users enter the scene. And this is not just India. There's other countries there like Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal, all these other countries. Like the gaming industry is going to be much different than it is, today if you look at the next 5 years. So that's why I'm really excited about global. Honestly, that's what I'm most excited about, is not just North America but global, and where gaming can go in the next few years with Valorant Mobile. There's a lot of great titles coming out. A lot of more new games coming out. So I think that's what gets me really excited, and I guess that's kind of a surprise in a way, right? Hopefully that answers your question.
Oh, new games coming. So the new games coming in the coming years. Maybe these games will attract more gamers and female gamers. We have stated the female gaming is up and rising, so we hope to see them thrive.
Yeah, we have a pro Apex Legends female team, competitive female team, and they're great. I love Girl, Janie, they're amazing at the game. By the way, they're way better than me. I love Apex, and it's awesome watching them. And I think they have a lot of they can see a lot of competitive success. So I'm really excited to see how far they can take it. Yeah, so that's why we're looking at these things, and we're not TSM is a trailblazer, right? We were the first crypto sponsor, even though that didn't work out, but we were the first crypto sponsor. We like to be the first at a lot of things. We're like the team, I guess in one sentence, we're like the team of the future, right? I think to summarize TSM, we want to be the team of the future. We want to be ahead of our competition and be the team of the future in certain games, regions, and so on, and make sure that we dominate across those key games and stuff. So that's why we have the first Apex Legends female competitive team as well, right? So and we're the first to enter India very early and fast, right? So I think that I think that's a really good model for TSM, is we're the team of the future, and we want to keep focusing on building that future so that we have a sustainable business.
I like it, and then maybe I will bring you back so you can tell us more on all the projects and see how us evolve. It will be really nice.
Yeah, but no problem. Hopefully.
But that will be for the next season. So it's time to wrap up this awesome program. We have discovered lots of wisdom thanks to Jeff Chau, sui generis, who told us about the sports industry, how mobile gaming has impacted the industry. Very interesting points like female gaming and how India, which is underrated underrated country in the sport ecosystem. And also we have talked about how the coach is also underrated in a sports team, and how this figure can get more value, and also how TSM is giving value to all the roles in the sports gaming. But
And
it's
highlight
time to
is a team of the future. So please,
yeah
if you have to go, you have to learn that.
yeah. And now we are wrapping up. This is the last program of the Sports Life International season. But this week we have more programs in other sections, like workers, corporate, and so on. And see you very, very, very soon. Sports Life is wrapping up this season, but there's lots of stuff coming in the following weeks. So thank you very much to Jeff Chau for coming with us today, and also to Yasmina for being also an awesome host with me. And thank you very much to our beautiful audience for being here with us tonight as well. So see you soon. May you play beautiful games throughout this week, and see you soon in Workers, Corporate, Innovation, and other programs in Sports Be Life. See you soon. Have
Take
a
care,
good
everybody.
Monday. The rest of the Monday.